the president announced is that they are going to purchase $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities.
What effect that's going to have, I think, is the question.
Is there any way to bring interest rates down and keep prices down?
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Real Estate Rumble with John Smith and my tag team partner, Matt the Bulldog Bollinger. Okay, well, today we're here with Revolution Mortgage and Jon Humig, who happens to be the branch manager. And
thank you for having me. My name is Jon Humig. I'm the sales production branch manager at Revolution Mortgage. Opened up my office here. We're actually just celebrated our second anniversary, so January 2024. We're a full service mortgage lending company, including niche products. So your non-QM products that you need, chattel loans, even land, one-time close construction. We do it all.
So hopefully our goal today is we can learn a little bit about the mortgage process. We have some questions about mortgage-backed securities, Freddie, Fannie. Who the hell are they? What the hell are they for? And why is it important to a buyer? So hopefully we can kind of bring some light. Of course, our president has vowed to put some money behind mortgage-backed securities. What's that mean for the average buyer? What's that mean for people in the business? Those are the things that we hope to root out today. As far as mortgage-backed securities, Matt, I want to explain exactly what the heck those things are and why are they important at this point?
No.
Because he's not a lender.
I'm not a lender.
So, John, it's on you.
Okay. Well, a mortgage-backed security is basically just an investment tool that is backed by a mortgage. So when you go out and you purchase a home, you get a mortgage and there's an interest rate associated with that. That is backed up by a security instrument that somebody that's an investor can go out and purchase and use that to
make a return on their
on their retirement or their investments or whatever it is. Generally considered a very safe investment.
But correct me if I'm wrong, FHA loans, NVA loans, aren't they already guaranteed anyway? So why does that make a difference?
That's how they package them up and sell them.
Okay. So are they increasing the amount of mortgages that they're investing into, or are they actually putting money behind them? That's where I'm a little lost.
So you're talking about like the $200 billion?
Projection?
Or which are you talking about? What was just announced with
President Trump's
administration saying that
what's
Fannie
that
and Freddie were going to buy $200 billion in MBS. That and what effect that's going to have, I think, is the question, because that's a lot of money.
Well, no, I think the question really, and yes, I think that's a question that needs to be answered, but my question is, why is anything changing? Because I believe FHA loans are backed, VA loans are backed.
Yes.
So what's this do for the average public? I mean, is it increasing the amount of loans they're given for FHA, or does it have nothing to do with either one of those?
It actually has nothing to do with FHA or VA. So FHA and VA loans are actually government loans.
Mm-hmm.
So those are already backed by the government. They're funded through their own by HUD for FHA and by the VA for.
Is there any limits to those? I mean, it's like, okay, we've funded too much FHA loans this year, too much VA loans.
No.
Okay.
No, there's no limit there. So what we're talking about today, the mortgage-backed securities, are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are the two conventional lenders in our environment. So what the president announced is that they are going to purchase $200 billion in mortgage-backed securities. And the reason for that, the logic behind it is, if you purchase more mortgage-backed securities, the return or the rate on those will go down and push mortgage rates down along with it.
Okay.
So that initial announcement that was made, was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as they announced it, we saw an immediate reaction in mortgage rates, specifically for conventional loans, because that's what we're talking about, conventional loans.
Sure.
The purchase itself is still in process. So we're not sure what it's going to do when it all goes through. But many people believe it's already kind of priced in with what we saw last week.
That's what I was going to ask you too.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
So is that a market? I'm sorry, Matt, but is that a market reacting? Is that a market reacting to this announcement? And could they just turn around and bounce right back up?
They could. I mean, in theory, but I don't think they're going to. I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot more movement from it, but I think that that infusion of cash is gonna have an effect on mortgage rates. So, and this isn't the first time this has happened.
Right.
If we go back all the way to 2008, in the after the crash, there was a huge push for what's called quantitative easing. They've flushed money. This was actually money coming from the Treasury's balance sheets. So they were actually buying the mortgage-backed securities to stabilize the market. It also happened again once we went into in COVID, when we had everyone was kind of uncertain about what the markets were going to do. They started putting, and I can't remember the number exactly, but I think it was like $40 billion a month.
Correct.
I think that's what it was.
Is it right? Okay. Into mortgage-backed securities. Same thing. That had a huge impact on mortgage rates. We had, mortgage rates at high 2s, 3s through COVID. And in 2022, they did what's called quantitative tightening, which is the opposite. So they stopped buying the mortgage-backed securities, and they started putting them, letting the ones that they owned, the Treasury owned, let it roll off their balance sheet. So when they expired, they wouldn't renew them, and they would just roll off. So they're kind of flushing those mortgage-backed securities back into the market currently.
Got it.
Yeah.
So the investment currently, did you know the number that the president had said that they were going to start investing?
I don't know how much the total was $200 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know what the process is going to look like or how much it's going to be on a monthly basis or whatever.
Okay.
But it creates more demand for the product, because then investors also feel like it's a safer investment, and I think it compresses that spread too a bit.
Yeah.
And that's what actually affected the interest rates that people were paying on mortgages like last week or whatever.
Yes.
So, because the spread was much wider than historically it has been. It's been like 2+% or something like that. And normally, isn't it like 1.9 or something? Something like that. So it was, say, half a percentage point, just to, put it in perspective, that it was higher than it typically was. Well, that depends on demand. And if like he said, the treasuries were letting those roll off, they weren't actually creating any more demand. But now it looks like there's going to be some more that is put in place. So that should compress that spread.
So is this pool of money that they're out there, are they allowing investors to buy in with them, or that is their purchase of their investment? That's
their investment. So this money, unlike previous times when the Treasury was purchasing the mortgage-backed securities, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are actually purchasing these themselves from their reserves.
Okay.
Which is a little bit different, but that is part of what he was referring to, the margins. So traditional mortgage knowledge, just forever, was you're going to have a spread of about 2% between what the 10-year Treasury note is and what the mortgage rate is. The last several years, that has not been the case. It's been like 3%, 2.5%. And, it's hard to explain why that is. Like, economists need to explain it.
Well, okay, so you pencil pushers grab this and you figure it out. I mean, this is Matt dies for these numbers, and he comes in and looks and sharpens his pencil. What does it mean to the general public? What does it mean to the person that really could care less that someone's buying it? What's the bottom result? Is it cheaper housing, cheaper financing? Because I am a little concerned that if interest rates come down, housing prices are going to go right through. We dealt with that in COVID.
Yeah.
That's typically what the end result ends up being.
Right.
I mean, it's cheaper money, therefore more demand for housing, therefore higher prices. I think that's probably...
So there's cause and effect no matter what.
Yeah.
Is there any way to bring interest rates down and keep prices down?
An entire just catastrophic crash in the United States economy probably.
Yeah, so it's just not possible.
But that's about it. No, they typically are have an opposite effect. Cheap money makes for more demand, makes for higher prices.
Right.
So
eventually,
in my opinion, though, that, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Well, I kind of do. Okay, but what we're seeing here is we need some responsible decision making, okay? Because in COVID, we dropped interest rates so low, it was almost free money, okay? Everybody jumped on board, everybody got involved, and now they're hostage in their own home because of that rate.
Yep.
So now, are we going to use a little restraint and not dip them so low and kind of levelize the market? Do you understand what I'm trying to get at? I mean, I think that they should have come back a little quicker with a higher interest rate. But
yeah, the pendulum always swings too far, it seems like, when the government gets involved in pumping money into the economy. It should have a positive effect. It's just a matter of how long that's going to be. In order, and by positive effect, I guess it's what they're trying to do is make the cost of housing more affordable for people. But what happens is people go out and they all buy at the same time,
Right.
and then they're back where they were before. So
Yeah.
I mean that's kind of what happens. So I think there's a window that people should keep an eye on, buyers, prospective buyers, or people get, like we talked about before we started, getting out of the home that they feel locked in, like you were talking about, and maybe going, you know what, it's probably as close as we're going to get. It's time to move. I mean, if you need more space, eventually you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to keep this 3% mortgage, or am I going to bite the bullet at 5% and get the house that I want?
And so what would be and now this is putting you on the spot, but what, like between a 3% mortgage and a 5% mortgage on a $300,000 house, let's just use that number because it's easy. What is roughly the payment difference? And if you're not allowed to talk about that, then tell me.
No, I am. I probably would need to use my calculator.
Of course.
You know, like a couple $100.
$100.
Yeah,
Let's use
yeah.
rough numbers.
Yeah.
We're kind of a rough show.
Yeah, a couple $100.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple $100, which is pretty substantial. So if we look at it like this, a couple months ago we were at 7. Now we're in the 5s. There could be a couple $100 savings comparatively when you first started looking to where you're at now. And so it might become more affordable, because I strongly believe, and I think Matt strongly believes, is people don't really shop interest rates. They shop
Monthly payment.
Yeah. I believe that too. I mean, a lot of people come in with what they think things are going to be, and then they like, well, this is where I need my payment to be. And that's where we actually end up centering our attention.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Yep.
In your guys' opinion, do you think this is going to stabilize the market, right? Because there's still some doubt out there. Oh, I need a better interest rate. Well, I don't think we're ever going to see 3s.
No.
Ever again. And I'd be surprised if we saw 4s. Now, you could probably buy into 4 if you had to.
I think you could buy now into the 5s if that's kind of what your goal was, and it might make sense. I mean, there's always the payoff, like how many months is it going to be till I flip that and it starts being a positive in my category financially. Whatever that number is, that has to be an individual, person's decision. But usually I think it ends up being like between 24 and 36 months or something like that. If people
before it makes sense. Yeah. The break-even point, yeah.
So as long as you're going to stay in the home long enough, and I think that there are a lot of people that are in homes that they want out of, and they just can't psychologically get over the hump that financially they'd be giving up that mortgage rate. But
well, and I think that like you and I were kind of talking about, at some point it becomes, the rates get to a point where it's at least worth it. Like, I understand I'm going up, 1%, 2%, and I'm walking away from this house, and that's okay. But when it was 3 or 4%, that was really hard. Your payments, in some case, like $1,000 more to get a similar house. So
first 5 years of the house, you're pretty much paying interest. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, completely. Okay, so we refinance. Okay, and I don't know if lenders are still doing the what is it? Date the rate.
Marry the house.
Marry the house. God, I'm glad I said that right, because I usually mess that all up. Okay, all right, yeah, date the rate, marry the house, right? Yeah. So is that a good philosophy still? I mean, a lot of lenders got stuck by saying that. They kept offering refinances for a certain period, but then the number never came down.
Yeah. Well, then you're paying interest that much more interest up front of the new loan anyway.
Right.
So it has to make sense. But most people only live in their house for like 7 years, something like that.
Right.
So if you think about what you're buying or what your outlay is going to be financially in those terms instead of 30 years, yes, your mortgage is 30 years. I get that. But or whatever 15 years, 30 years. It's a long time. But you look at it in terms of what you're actually going to do with it, it's probably more like 5 to 7 years for most people.
So what I'm hearing, and I'm going to get beat up for this, so go ahead and hit me hard, is interest rate may not matter for the first 8 years.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think that the interest rate is important. Obviously we're always trying to find a good interest rate, but in the long term, what you're actually building when you purchase a home is the equity. Mm-hmm. So when that comment, I understand what you're saying. That comment, yes.
But I'm full of it. It's a good spin on something.
Yeah, it really
you're
is.
still looking at your
point.
monthly payment, so that does make an effect on it. But I think what you're saying is kind of going back to John's answer is if you find a great property, and it looks like it's going to be the house for you, you're better to look at that and go, what is the longer term prospect of, say, equity?
Right.
What you're going to pay down plus what the potential value is going to be at a certain point. So that's where you come into like location again in real estate. Not to use another overdone cliche.
Yeah, right.
But it's true.
We're full of them.
It's true, though. Yeah. I mean, it really does have an impact on it.
At what year, and it's probably price point, maybe, this is a lender question. At what point does equity start building? Do I have to stay in my home for a long period of time? Do I need to be there at least 10 years before I get equity? When does the interest?
It depends on the market, right? So like we saw between 2019 and 2023, like 25% gains in equity, like
because prices went up.
So
it wasn't a payoff scenario. It was more that the market value of your house went up,
right,
instead of the loan value
going down.
Am I saying that right? Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is how long does it take me to get to where I'm paying my principal and not interest?
That also depends on the interest rate. So like we can build amortization schedules and you can see specifically, obviously the lower the interest rate, the more ends up going to the principal every month.
And that's the kind of information you would provide to clients that knocked on your door, right? It's not just a simple fill out the loan application is let's educate. Right. I believe we're all educators in this business. I don't believe we're salespeople. I believe we educate, and then they give the people the ability to make a decision and be informed. Lenders, as yourself, I believe, take that on as serious as they possibly can.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay, because last thing you want to do is just go in and sign a bunch of papers and walk out and go, what did I just do? And I'm sure there's people out there, right? So, so the impact of this money is a weight to be determined.
Well, so we know it's had an impact already. We don't know what the continued impact will be. What I can assume is there's a limit on this money because in the past it was opened up to the Treasury to buy those there was something voted in that allowed them to do that. In this case, there's no money from the Federal Reserve that's been allocated to do that. So what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have on their reserves to purchase, that's all they have. And I think that they had $208 billion, so it's pretty close to what they have.
Is that much money, really? Because I heard it wasn't anything, really.
Honestly, they carry, I think it's like $12 trillion in mortgage-backed securities. It's less than like 1.5%.
It's a great announcement.
Yeah.
And because people hear that billion, and they think that it's just such an impactful thing.
I think they're trying to create some confidence in the market too.
Sure.
Yeah. Because in housing and real estate and then construction, so you're talking about new homes, you're talking about existing homes, that industry is so interconnected with everything else in the economy that it makes sense to try to ease people's fears of maybe the next purchase of a home by saying, hey, we feel confident about the market, we're going to go ahead and buy these.
Yeah.
Do you think the president, I know I just took a big swing here to a different direction, but do you think the president's disagreement with the Fed leader is creating a problem within the market? Lack of confidence?
I don't know. I guess it could. I mean, there's a psychological aspect there of people that might feel like, this person is doing something wrong. The Fed chairman.
Yeah. Well, it's just like the rest of the country, which splits everybody 50-50, right?
Right.
No matter where you stand politically, it is obvious the country's kind of divided a little bit on what side they're on and which way they follow.
I think people's fear in that is more the independence of the Federal Reserve and the crossing of a line that hasn't been crossed before.
Right.
So I think that's where the big, fear on one side is, certainly, which I think that the Fed should be completely and 100% independent.
Okay.
And it always has been.
Yep.
I think it's worked. So.
Yeah. And I think, then there's some people believe that the change from the current Fed chair to somebody else is going to make a big difference. But the truth is it really isn't. Like there's 12 people that vote. Like Jerome Powell has some say.
Sure.
He gets to tell people, the group what he thinks and, that kind of thing. But in the day, everyone's going to vote and all these people are independent. So
I'm going to use a big word here for me. Okay. Is that a 12 people bipartisan, represents both sides? Is it equal 6 and 6?
Yeah. I mean, they're all independent. I don't know what their political side is, but they are independent of each other, yet they are together on the board of directors.
And so if we pull Jerome Powell out today,
they're all economists.
You still have 11 other people that are going to say the same thing probably because they all work.
And the chair does have influence. Okay. I mean, they do, and that's why they were named the chair.
Sure.
Right.
And they're the ones that do the press, and so their words matter too. So you got to make sure that the person who's out there that's speaking on it is saying the right things.
Yes.
I mean, every single news and especially financial news people are picking apart every word that Jerome Powell says.
Yep.
Do you think he meant this or did he mean this? Is this dovish? Is this hawkish? Is this whatever?
Yeah.
Like they try to predict what's going to happen.
When did hawk come into it, man? I'm only used to bulls and stuff. Now you're whipping out hawks and dovish, and I mean, what the hell, Matt? What is that? What's a hawk?
It's somebody who would rather keep interest rates where they are rather than lower them because they think that they're maybe a little bit more afraid of inflation.
Oh, that's the credit card companies.
And a dovish person is somebody who says inflation's fine, let's lower the rates and everything will be hunky dory there.
Yeah.
Got it. So one's a little more reserved, and the other one's a little more aggressive.
Really, if you picture 12 people, they're the ones that are debating with each other, going, I think it should be this way, I think it should be this way on the other side, and then they try to come to some sort of a consensus that they can put out there.
And so really, our leadership, our executive branch, has no power with them? Is that correct?
They are not supposed to, no.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And they have not
It's designed that they should not.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an independent organization. Yeah.
But
made up of obviously some people from the government, and there's also private individuals, like people like presidents of banks and things like that.
Man, we're doing such a good line, driving straight down the middle here and not trying to sway to either side.
Well, that's exactly how the Fed is supposed to operate.
I'm pretty impressed because it would be pretty easy to fall on either side. But if we just look at it as numbers and we look at it as reality, most likely we're not going to drop ever below 4. Unless
we have just some horrible thing happen.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, those are like if you had another, I don't know, 9/11, or you had like another,
disease,
war, a massive war, or if you had another, COVID. I think that you might see those drop, but that's because whatever happened affected the whole economy and probably worldwide economy now. That's the biggest difference, I think, that's changed.
I got to tell you, though, I mean, during COVID was some of my best times, obviously, because the interest rates dropped so low and more people came out to buy houses because they wanted to take advantage of that.
Of course,
and they were buying at these extreme prices. That's what created the gridlock, and where people are like, I can't afford to leave my house because if I buy into something new, it's going to be even more expensive.
Correct.
And so, would
you
say they're handcuffed, or do you think they're just basically
they're golden handcuffs?
They are, but here's the thing: they have a ton of equity right now. Like they built up that equity because of that low rate.
Okay.
Like we were talking the amortization.
Yep.
So they've got more equity. They can't really like picture it. Like if they had gotten it at 6% at that time, they would have nowhere near the equity they have now.
Oh, okay.
But so they do have more money to put into that next house than they would have otherwise.
Okay.
Which could help some people move on, say, okay, well, I've got 200,000 here when I put it into the next house, even though I get a higher interest rate.
Well, the
Not a
key is
bad
to
deal.
get them through that.
Yes.
Okay. And that's, I assume that's where you would come involved, is to educate them. Like, listen, yes, you have equity, but that equity could change at any time, depending on the value of the house could come down. So this might be the time to sell, take your equity, put it into a better house. And correct me if I'm wrong here, move to the place that you need to move to on the destination, or with the extra room or the pool that you've always wanted.
Right.
This would be the time to do it, because now you can afford it if you sell this house.
And buyers have a little more leverage in this market
Oh, yeah.
than they have in the past 5 years. So there's that too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been having a lot more luck negotiating for buyers recently than we did a year ago.
Well, you could,
I would
you could
say,
actually negotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 50% of my contracts have concessions on them right now,
Right.
which for years, 0.
Yeah.
Well, I met with a buyer yesterday, and they said, listen, we probably need some help with closing costs, probably need a down payment assistance program. 2 years ago, I would have said, this isn't the market for you. Rent something, and let's go from there. Now I'm taking those meetings, and of course I'm educating them and then putting them with the right lender so we can make sure they understand financially what they're looking at. But that wouldn't even have been an option maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Right.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we couldn't even get, for a while there for buyers, you couldn't get any repairs on a house even, or any credit for repairs. It was like, take it or leave it, because there's 4 people behind you that want this house. And now we're in a different market where buyers are really in a more powerful negotiating position, and they're actually getting those concessions. They're getting, money off the ask price. You're seeing a more, in my opinion, a balanced market.
Exactly.
And it feels really healthy right now, the way it is. But I think if we could get people to understand the things that we were talking about before, is, okay, you don't have to stay in this house anymore. Rates are getting a little closer to where you can make that decision for your life or for your lifestyle, for your family. It might be time to do that. And then I think that's going to actually impact the market more than we really think it
Well, there's always what I call these sharks in the market, right? The megalodons or whatever, these big old sharks that are going to come out and just push us aside. Not to knock new builds, but they're kind of the shark in the market right now. How can they offer an interest rate well below a market, which you're offering, and give an incentives, and you can go to our design center, and we're going to throw in a big floaty duck to put in the pool that we're going to put in there, and we're going to give you free windshields for life. You know what I'm saying here. Okay. So how do we, and I mean we as the industry, coexist? All right. Because I can name Marana. There's a certain subdivision in Marana that there's more new builds out there coming up every day, and it is killing the resale market in those areas, and people can't afford it because the value of their homes coming down because of the pricing of the new build industry.
They are holding the line on price, and they will do anything they can to keep the prices where they are. That's what they're defending with all of that other stuff. But it's coming down. The offers that they're giving prospective new build buyers is coming down, and it's getting closer and closer and closer to being competitive with existing homes, I think. I mean, there's still incentives, but there's also sellers in the regular existing market, resale market, that are willing to participate in that now. It used to be though, like, we'll give you $30,000 on a $400,000 house. Well, that's because they were trying so hard to prop those prices. You're not seeing that in the new homes anymore, at least not in this market. It's maybe you get 7,500.
Right.
Well, sellers can compete with that.
So new home builder, where they make their money on volume, or do they make it on, they have their own lender, they're their own, basically all inclusive?
Both. Yeah. So they're making on the margins of what they're doing, the build itself. And then when they have their own lenders, they're making some money from that. But then they're subsidizing those rates, or they're buying huge chunks of money at one time to get the better rates. But they can't do it forever.
No.
That's the
and
thing.
I'm seeing the difference. Even
that's
now.
what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Is that they've got to make an adjustment sooner or later. Like you go to a car lot, they make most of their money
Financing.
on the financing and the alarm you bought and the nice tires and everything else, and the extended warranty.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I kind of look at the new builds kind of like that, but you don't get greeted at the curb, and very rarely do they give you popcorn. So So that's kind of I think there's some confusion there of they're kind of two different markets totally.
They have been, yeah. I would classify them as completely separate for the last couple of years.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because but I think they're getting closer now where existing home sellers can compete, maybe not 100% on the same level playing field, but it's a lot closer than it's been in the past. And that is done with what you were saying with, with credits that people could use to buy their own rate down or whatever the reason is. I mean, they can do that, and it's becoming a little bit more of a fair market. I felt like, especially in neighborhoods where people needed to sell and they were building 1,000 homes around them, it was almost impossible unless they just kept cutting that price to get to the point where people went, well,
those are our only choices sometimes.
Yeah.
We have to find, there's a buyer for every house, but that means there's a price for every buyer in order to get them to sell.
Correct.
Okay, to purchase. So,
And I've seen that too. And people, like, they're just stuck in that house because they bought it for same price as all the other houses are going for, but nobody wants their house because
they don't get the
because they
incentives.
don't get the 4.99% or whatever it is they're giving them. Yeah.
So
But they were paying like down to like, I mean, so much money they were flushing into those incentives. They just can't. They
just can't sustain it.
I saw like 1% first year, 2% second year, 3% third year, and then fixed forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, that's going to cost so much money to get that person.
now.
And they're selling hundreds of them like that. You can imagine the kind of money that they have to put into it.
And then at the same time, though, like he was saying, I talk to agents all the time now. They're like, okay, what kind of strategy can we come up with for my seller to help sell this house? And, you can put the concessions out there. Let the buyers buy down their interest rate with that money that the seller wants to offer.
Right.
So it is, we are getting to a place where it's more on par with, more competitive.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just say we have somebody that is just out of college, got a signing bonus with Raytheon, ready to go. You could probably qualify them on their offer, and you could get them through it.
Yeah.
Where do they start? Okay. Can they just come in and go, hey, John, we're thinking about buying a house. Matt and John told us that you could educate us and that it's not pressure, it's just education. And if we qualify and it makes sense, then we'll talk to John and Matt. But if I was, if somebody just fresh into the housing market, is that our first stop? Is our first stop somebody like yourself to come in and just sit down and say, okay, where are we at? Yeah. And I truly believe that everybody has the right to purchase a house if they're willing to do the work. In other words, if they have bad credit, if they've just gone through a divorce, bankruptcy, and all stuff like that, do you feel that lenders have a responsibility to work with those people to get them where they want to be if they're willing to do the work?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's right. That's the first place you got to be. You got to stop. You got to talk to a lender. You got to get qualified. And if you're not, you need to then we take the time to get you there. If, like you said, your credit is in bad shape, we're going to look at that. We're going to look, point you in the right direction, try to get you there in the next 6 to 12 months. Going through a divorce, we can walk you through that. What does that look like? What do I need to do? How do I, not legally, but what are the steps I need to take to get ready to do that?
Has anybody ever, and some of you guys might be a little classier than me, I'm a little redneck. Anybody ever applied for like a credit card when you were younger and applied for a loan or something, and you were so scared to even push the button to go in, or you're so scared to even approach a lender? I think that is a hill that everybody has to get over. That what's the worst thing that they could say no? Or I'm a true believer. We always say yes. It's not a no or a yes. It's a matter of when.
Right.
Okay. And as a lender, you could strategize that for them. Yeah. And so it no matter who you are, I think you should always talk to a lender to see where you are to meet your home buying goals. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I promise you, there's people out there that could qualify today, and they're afraid to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you had that.
I did. I had somebody that came in and they told me they had $90,000 in the bank and they wanted to buy a rent to own. And I said, okay, what's your credit score? And they're like, oh, we're in the 7s. I said, so let's educate you first. Let's talk to somebody first. Let me put you in front of a lender because you're going to find out that rent to own is not your friend. Okay. Right. Rent to own is, again, my opinion, it's kind of predatory and they expect you to fail so they can get the house back and keep your big down. Yeah. That I could be wrong. I'd invite one of those people on here any day of the week to talk about it. But I think if you just got over your fear and walked into a lender, and obviously we want you to walk into Jon's place and sit down and have a 20, 30-minute conversation, you might learn a lot about your financing and your buying power, or to be able to set goals with a lender that will follow you through that goals and to make sure that you stay on track, because they want to loan you money just as much as you want money loaned to you.
Yeah. I mean, we don't get anything out of just talking, but we get that opportunity to like educate and to like get these people into a house, because that's the goal. I agree with you. Everybody deserves a house if they're willing to do the work.
Right.
So, and the thing is, you know, that people come in and they are scared. 20 minutes later, you know, they're like, I can't believe I can do this. Like, I can actually do this.
Right.
You know, and that's a really great feeling.
Yeah. And so do you welcome those things to your,
Of course.
you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there are some lenders that are a little different attitude. Okay.
Yeah.
Can't speak for them and don't really care to speak for them.
Yeah.
But we partner with people like yourself for that very reason. We sell at all price points, from 100,000 on up. Heck, I've sold a $53,000 condo one time. And, so, but we do, we believe that, we do, luxury service at every price point. So when we find people like yourself that does business like ourselves, we have confidence to take our buyers and put them in front of you, because even if it's a no, it's not a no, it's a win.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So why Revolution Mortgage? Why should we go there? Why should everybody drop what they're doing, get an appointment with you, and start buying the home buying process?
You know, I think it comes down to value. Like, I care if people get a house. I care if they're taken care of. I want to take care of them. I want to be happy. And, you know, we're competitive with rates too. You know, we bring all that to the table. But, you know, different people have different needs, and we get everything that we can. It's why I went to Revolution, because I can get all the products I need to say, okay, you don't qualify for this, but we can do this. You know, we can look at this. We have different solutions.
And if there was some credit issues, do you take a look at that and kind of forecast on how you can help them?
Yeah. Yeah, I have tools. I can do my own forecasting if it's, you know, they've just had a really rough time and it's beyond what I can forecast. I have partners I put them in touch with. I monitor them, keep an eye on them through the process, and follow up with them as they get closer and closer to their goals. So, yeah.
How do they get a hold of you, Jon?
They can reach me on my cell phone, 575-571-8800. Or on my website, which is revolutionmortgage.com/jhumig, which is JHUMIG.
And if I looked at your website, I did. And if I scroll a little bit, I noticed that we really don't even have to talk to you. All we need to do is just go in and fill out a form. I'm finding it.
Yeah.
Fill out a form. It might be on your personal one.
It's at the top. There's an apply button.
Okay. There's an apply button. Up here, right-hand side. Apply button. So if you're afraid to talk to a loan officer and you just want to get a response back, or you want to start the process without going through that, I think this is a great option, right? Because then they fill out the application online. Is that correct, Jon?
Yep.
And then supply the information to go in there. There's no stress of sitting there for 3 hours.
Right.
You know, there's nothing. It's just you do it from your home. That's what technology has done for us.
Yeah. And we don't do a hard credit pull either. So that's a nice thing. If you're worried about your credit being hurt, we only do soft credit pull. We work on everything off a soft credit pull until you go into contract.
So, hey, we've been talking to Jon Humig from Revolution Mortgage and his fantastic little lending institute. So if you guys ever have some questions or are just curious about where you stand in your market power, I would highly recommend to get a hold of Jon and to see what he can do for you. My name is John Smith, signing off with Matt Bollinger and Jon Humig. Jon, we appreciate you taking time, especially on a little bit of a holiday.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Do you have anything else you want to add, Matt?
I just want to say thanks for coming in and giving people information. I highly recommend Jon. Great person, and somebody that can educate you through the process and help you get that home that you're looking for.
I don't even have anything to throw today. We're out.